The places where Kamala Harris is having trouble are numerous at this point in the conversation. The race is shifting. It has been over the last 14 days. As I said at the top of the program, I've seen enough. I think this race is over, but that means you have to vote. It's not done. And my next guest will absolutely implore you to vote because she says, no, don't do that. But here's the truth. The erosion of black voters, of Hispanic voters, of blue-collar workers, of union households. It's all migrating to Donald Trump in numbers I don't know that I've ever seen in my lifetime when it comes to union households or black voters. And in fact, last hour I played the black man who's a UAW member who said, look, I'm taking a lot of heat, but I'm voting for Donald Trump. He caught hell from his sister and his mother and his uncle and his aunt. He said, I don't care. I'm in the UAW and I need to vote what's right, and that means Donald Trump. In fact, my next guest, Elaine Parker, Job Creators Network Chief Communications Officer with me now. Elaine, nice to see you. You've got billboards up in Michigan that say Kamala's EV auto mandates mean less jobs and Donald Trump means more jobs, right in line with the guy that I played last hour. I mean, that is right in, if I may, in the wheelhouse of union workers who know this EV thing is terrible. What was it, another 2,500 of Stellantis workers, the people that make Chrysler and Ram, laid off? Again, another group of victims from the EV Green New Deal nonsense, right?
Yeah, I've said it all along that Americans are going to vote with their pocketbooks. I mean, whether they like Donald Trump or they don't like Donald Trump, they know that they did better in their households at their kitchen tables under the policies of Donald Trump. And so you hear that from people. And I actually used to work for Chrysler. I lived in Michigan. I've never seen a state more dependent on one industry, whether it's dry cleaners or restaurants, delivery trucks, you name it. I mean, that state is dependent on the auto industry. And the mandates that Kamala Harris supports is not going to help the state of Michigan. It's not going to help jobs for auto workers. And so the billboards that we put up around Detroit and Grand Rapids is to remind auto workers that Kamala's EV mandates equal less jobs.
They do, because you're demanding people buy a product that they don't want. Look, I don't want an EV in Michigan in January. You've lived here. It snows. It still snows. Climate change notwithstanding, guess what? It still snows. It still gets cold, and batteries don't perform well in cold weather, not to mention all the other hazards. We saw what happened with the hurricane. You get salt water on an EV, what happens? They burn. It's a bad situation. A lot of reasons why EVs are, maybe someday they will be there. Elaine, maybe they will. We're not there yet. Enforcing people to buy something they don't want doesn't work. And as a result, exactly what your billboards say, the EV mandates mean less jobs. How many of these billboards are up in Michigan and other places?
We've got 7 up in Michigan, and then we're running ads in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, because our small businesses, we do a national poll of small business owners, and Trump is up over Kamala Harris by 12 points with small businesses. They understand. They're on the front lines of the last 3.5 years under Kamala Harris and the administration that she's part of. It has been historic inflation, high credit costs, high energy costs, and it hurts our small businesses in a disproportionate way. And they know that they did better under Trump. He had the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that he passed, which unleashed our economy. And we saw more prosperity than we'd seen in half a century. And Kamala Harris has vowed to let the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act expire, and she wants to raise corporate taxes by 33%. And while she wants everyone to believe that that's only going to impact large companies like Chrysler and GM and Amazon and Google, the reality is that there's 1 million small businesses that are structured as C corporations, and they will be impacted as well. She will be devastating for this economy.
Here's the fact. If a country is taxing its people so heavily that we're shipping hundreds of billions of dollars overseas every year, we might be taxing our folks a bit too much. Until America looks like Dubai, all right, I'm of the opinion that maybe we should keep that tax money here at home more often than sending it overseas. And this idea that the rich need to pay their fair share, Look, when you're talking about drilling people that have a Venmo payment of north of $600 that they have to fill out forms, you've got this Government Accountability Act, something like that LLCs, even single proprietorship LLCs, have to fill out all these forms. I mean, there's all this nonsense stepping on the throat of business even businesses that have exactly one employee, Elaine, it's terrible for this country. Everything they're doing is terrible for this country, but it's because they're mathematically illiterate. These people have never worked in small business. They've never laid awake at night trying to figure out how they're making payroll. They've never been there. That's fact.
Well, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, as much as the Democrats and Kamala Harris wants everybody to believe that it benefited the rich, the fact is it benefited every single taxpayer. It benefited small business, it benefited corporations, and it actually made our tax system more progressive than it ever has been. Actually, the wealthy took on a greater share of our tax burden than ever before. So it is actually more progressive than it ever has been. And if the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act goes away, it will devastate our economy.
It will. But you know what? You have to wonder if they care. Now, again, I don't think Kamala Harris is going to win. I think that the working people of this country are rejecting her across the board. And that's white working class people, black working class people, Hispanic voters leaving the Democrats in record numbers. You just had a poll from yesterday, right? Saying Hispanics fleeing.
Suffolk University, which is by no means a conservative poll, came out with a poll that Hispanics are favoring Trump by 11 points. So he is pulling. We've said all along that Trump is going to surpass the high water mark for George W. Bush that he had in 2004. He got 40% in 2004, which was the high water mark for any Republican president. And now Trump is polling at 49%. We think he's going to surpass 50%. And that's because Hispanics, they really do align with conservative and Republican values. They believe in faith, family, entrepreneurship, hard work, and they understand that they were doing better under the Trump administration. Their real wages were up $6,500 more than they are now because of the historic inflation. Remember, inflation under Trump when he left office was 1.4%.
1.4%, we'd take that today, wouldn't we? You know what else has happened here? And I'm just going to look it up real quick while I've got you on the program. And that is, once again, new record high set already today for gold, $2,751.88. Gold has been going up since the fall of 23. It's been on a rocket ride from $1,900 to on its way to $2,800. And what does that tell you? It tells you the economy is not in great shape and people are buying gold and the demand is that high. I'll give you the last word.
Devaluing the dollar with reckless government spending.
Correct.
President Trump wants to stop the reckless spending and he wants to increase domestic drilling. That's how you bring down prices and that's how you bring down inflation.
Amen. Elaine Parker, always a pleasure seeing you. Thank you for coming in. I'll be looking for the billboards, several of them out there now, saying that EVs mean less jobs and Donald Trump means more jobs. It's something that sells in Michigan. I'll tell you that, Elaine. Thank you for being here.
Thanks so much.
Really appreciate it. There she is, Elaine Parker, everybody. I'll take a break and be back. I'm going to talk about some of those voting blocks, where they're headed and why, right after this.